Sir, transponder's repeating itself.
Run it again.
Same result. 400,000 tons on a courier signature.
Sub-Warden Ptheek Vosnol had cleared 4,000 vessels through Corvain Way Station without incident, and he intended to keep that number exactly where it was. Thank you very much. Right up until the human courier's transponder said something no transponder should ever say twice. Run it again, Ptheek said. The scan console blinked back at him, patient and unbothered, the way machines are when they don't understand the concept of dread. Class, unverified. Mass, unverified. Threat, error. 90 kilometers out, the vessel drifted toward the station at a lazy, unbothered crawl, running its docking lights in the exact cheerful rhythm of a creature that had never once considered it might be doing something wrong. That creature was me, Frank Delacroix, and at that exact moment I was doing something deeply wrong. Yes, but it wasn't flying, it was trying to eat a breakfast burrito one-handed while filling out a cargo manifest with the other, and losing on both fronts. The shuttle, I call her Rosalind, don't ask, previous owner's idea, was on autopilot, which was good, because autopilot doesn't judge you for getting salsa on Form 12B. I had a grocery run of vacuum-sealed protein blocks from a mining outpost, 6 crates of somebody's mail, and a dog waiting for me back home, who was going to be very disappointed if I missed her dinner window by more than an hour. That was the whole of my problem that morning.
I want to be clear about that.
That was it. Dispatch chimed in twice while I ate, first to confirm my slot, second just to remind me that outpost credit didn't cover snack machine debt from 3 trips ago, which rude, but fair. I hummed along to the radio, told Rosalind's autopilot good girl, out of habit, and did not, at any point, think about the fact that the last time anyone had opened her aft compartment was probably before I was born. Why would I? She parked fine. She got good mileage. That was the whole checklist. Ptheek did not share my problem. Ptheek had a new one, and its name was the mass reading. Sir, he said to nobody, because saying it to somebody would make it real, the vessel is registering 400,000 tons. The tech beside him actually laughed, a short, unhappy bark. Couriers don't run 400,000 tons. Couriers run 4,000. I'm aware, said Ptheek, and requested a second opinion, because sometimes the universe is kind enough to let you be wrong. The universe was not kind to Analyst Corvessa Thail, who got the second opinion request and did not want it. She pulled the hull composition data and stared at it the way you stare at a number on a scale that has clearly been tampered with by someone, possibly yourself. Layered ferrocarbide titanium composite, 6 meters at the thickest point, arranged in a pattern her database had exactly one match for. Military hulls, pre-concession era, the ones nobody built anymore because building them was, by treaty, illegal in 11 jurisdictions. This isn't a shuttle, she said. This is wearing a shuttle. Nobody answered her, because everybody else was busy discovering their own bad news. Fleet-Marshal Draeth Solkarn got looped in 14 minutes later, which in hindsight was 13 minutes too late, because by then Ptheek's team had run the hull registry against 9 decades of decommissioned records and found a match, and the match had a name, and the name was USC Meridian's Vow, formerly a Class 9 human dreadnought, formerly capable, per the file, which Draeth read twice to make sure he wasn't hallucinating, of unassisted orbital bombardment of a mid-sized moon. Formerly, Draeth repeated. Define formerly.
Decommissioned, said Ptheek.
Weapon systems stripped for civilian conversion. Officially. And unofficially? Nobody had an answer for unofficially because unofficially required someone to physically open the hull and look, and nobody on that station was in a hurry to be the one who did that. Draeth didn't wait for one. He quietly raised the station to internal alert, scrambled 2 interceptors to loiter just outside the courier's sensor cone, and told nobody outside his direct reports, because the last thing any of them needed was a full dock of worried civilians watching a human hum show tunes over an open channel while armed patrol craft took up position around her. No sudden moves, he told the interceptor pilots. And nobody tell it we're scared. They did it anyway, because that's the job, and what Corvessa found in the aft weapons bay made her sit down on the deck plating without deciding to. The mounts were empty, technically no cannons, no launchers, exactly as the paperwork promised. What the paperwork did not mention was that the targeting computer was still live, still warm, still humming along at full readiness behind a bulkhead someone had relabeled, in blocky human handwriting, storage, winter stuff. The shield generator, likewise decommissioned, was pulling more power at idle than the entire station's defense grid pulled at full alert. They didn't remove the weapons, Corvessa said, to the ceiling, to whoever might be listening, to God. They removed the paperwork that mentions the weapons. The last piece landed with Thren, and it landed badly, the way the truth tends to when you've been avoiding it politely for an hour. He'd assumed, everyone had assumed, that this was one ship, one unlucky anomaly, a single retired warship that had slipped through some human bureaucratic crack. So, he pulled the human trade registry for the sector. Then he sat very still for a long moment because the registry did not describe an anomaly. It described a fleet. 611 vessels of matching hull class, matching power signature, matching civilian courier designation, currently in operation across 17 systems, delivering, according to the manifests he was now reading with something close to physical pain, mail. They didn't build a shuttle fleet, Thren said quietly. They ran out of wars to use their navy in, and they didn't want to waste the ships. So they took them to the DMV. Nobody told me any of this, obviously, because I was 2 hours into a cargo delay with no explanation, which, fine, whatever, bureaucracy is bureaucracy everywhere. I'm sure the hierarchy has forms too. A very polite, very stiff voice finally came over the comm and asked, with what I can only describe as forced casualness, whether Rosalind was combat-rated. She's 30 years old, and her cup holder's broken, I said. I really don't think so. There was a long pause. Then, please confirm the vessel's original manufacturer classification. I checked the plate on the dash, the one I'd never actually read because it's mostly used for propping up my coffee. Says Dreadnought. That sound right to you? I always figured it was just, like, a brand name. Like calling a minivan a Voyager. That, apparently, was the sentence that broke something in Sub-Warden Ptheek Vosnol, because the comm went quiet for a full 90 seconds before granting me priority docking, a full fuel top-up at no charge, and I only found out later. A formal escort of 2 hierarchy patrol craft the whole way to the outpost, which I assumed was just, like, a nice welcome thing they did. Very hospitable people, the Zalvurn Hierarchy. I left them a good review. They, in turn, quietly reclassified Corvain Way Station's threat protocols, briefed every checkpoint in the sector on the phrase, civilian courier, human registry, and Fleet-Marshal Draeth Solkarn added one line to his official report that nobody above him dared to argue with. Humanity had not disarmed its warships. It had simply stopped telling anyone they still counted. I made it home 40 minutes late. My dog forgave me. She's very understanding, for a dog who once got scared of a vacuum cleaner. I did mention the escort to my sister on the phone that night, mostly because it seemed like a fun detail. Yeah, they sent 2 fighter jets out very fancy, and she asked, reasonably, why a mail run needed a fighter escort. I said I figured it was just a busy shipping lane. She said that made sense. Neither of us thought about it again. Next week I'm apparently getting bumped up to the Talon class run. Bigger cargo bay. The dispatcher said, real proud of it. I hope it's got a working cup holder. That's honestly all I'm asking for at this point.